We're going to be going over turns today, or starts today. Turns were the last time. We're going to talk about certain things and certain aspects that I think one of the greatest starters out there uses, and that's Caleb Dressel. We'll be watching a bunch of little compilation that someone made of all his starts. A couple things we want to talk about first off, and everybody should know this. The first thing you do when you hit the water is what? Streamline. Okay, we always want to streamline. Whether you're going in forward or backwards, streamline is the most important thing you can do for a start. You can mess up a lot of different things, but if you're not streamlined, you can't go fast. And as Coach Joe pointed out in our first presentation, when you're diving into the water, as he says, it's fun because you're going faster than you can swim. So we really want to make sure we take that into mind, that we're always streamlining. Okay. Secondly, one of the things that when we're looking at Caleb, what he does really well is, and very good starters, and it's funny because I giggle because Joe pointed this out as well, their hips are really high. So when your hips are really high, you're making sure that your hamstrings are ready to fire and give that little push forward. His hands are always, one of the things he also likes to do is he says he wants to use his arms as much as he uses his legs. And we always talk about when we grab the block, thumbs down, getting a good plant, just shoulder width apart, and really giving a good tug on that block. And he does that better than almost anyone. I'm going to show a video of Simone and Bloomington. 1 second here. And all right, can we see the screen? I hope. Thumbs up. Yes. Okay. So here we have the start of the women's 50 freestyle. Simone's over here, and when you watch them swim, you want to make sure. And the last time I did this, we had a big problem. When they start, and this is for everyone here. Simone's right here. Look at how high everyone's hips are. Nobody's really crouching down. The only person that's really crouching down is behind the block right here, and she's kind of sitting on her heels. We don't want that. We want to make sure that you have that. If you have a wedge, that the ball of the foot is up on that wedge, ready to push. Now, if you watch, and they're going to switch the scene the start real quick, but watch the explosiveness of these girls when they push off the wall or push off the block. Okay. So they're getting it, and if you see now, everyone's super straight, toes are pointed, everything looks great. Something wrong? I thought something said something. Now, one of the things that, if I can stop it, okay, type streamlines, good dolphin kicks, everyone explodes forward, okay? That's a pretty good start right there.
0.7 of a second gap.
And now there we go.
Everybody else will see if she can continue that dominance.
That's the wrong one.
In this race, it looks like she's going to do just that. We'll see how fast she can go.
Okay, Simone, thank you for that noise.
For Simone Manuel.
This is hard when you have.
And that is the 6th fastest time in the world.
My face in the spot where I'm trying to stop the race. Okay. Now, if we go into Caleb, his start, he's right here in the middle. He uses that good explosiveness as well. And I'm trying to find a good point. The good streamline, really good kicks. Good break.
Can you expand it?
I'm going to in 1 second, okay? I'm trying to find the right one on this clip here. Okay, so he's out here in lane 5, okay? He's got a good stable base. His feet are not, or his feet are shoulder width apart. He's not lined up behind. Hold on, I might have someone trying to get in. And there they are. Hold on. There you go. What's that? But he doesn't have 1 foot behind each other because that's not a very stable position. His feet are shoulder width apart. Toes are wrapped, just like we were taught when we were young kids. One of the reasons why he's so explosive is, I mean, he can do hang cleans, which basically when you have a weight bar down by your hips and throw it up to your chest. He does hang cleans at 260 pounds, which is pretty strong for anyone, regardless of whether they're a swimmer or not. And they always switch so fast. Okay, we're going to let this run a little bit. We'll watch a little bit start, and hopefully in a second I will catch this. Okay, this is one of the things I wanted to show. Okay, if you look at it right now, if him in lane 5 right here, he's right here. This guy here. Let me blow this up real quick. One of the things that, you know, they do a lot of great studies and films and stuff from the USA Swimming, and they share with the coaches. But if you look at where is at the angle of his foot, oops, I screwed up there. Well, we'll try and catch it again. It's just one of those days apparently. This was the one I wanted. Okay, they get a good streamline off the wall, or a good push off the wall, good streamline. And hopefully I can stop this in the right place. Yeah, Caleb's happy. He's flashing around. But one thing you want to watch is the angle of the foot forward. If you see this shin here, it's basically going to be parallel with the water, okay? And that means so that when you're pushing straight against the block there. The top foot or the wedge foot, that's actually just kind of helping you get into the position so that front shin that is parallel with the water, so then you're generating all your force back against the block. But if you look, you know, at the way the start here, everybody's hips are nice and high on the start. Okay, he's way up there. But the way they get off that block, they give a big pull off the block, hit, and then they're trying to get into a nice one little hole through the water. They don't want to be slashing with their legs. They don't want to be hitting heavy, so they want to be nice and streamlined through one little hole through the water. Okay. And there it is right there. If you can see this guy's shin here, it's driving forward. This guy's even better. If you see his shin there, that's driving forward. This guy's going to go up a little bit higher. This guy's going to go forward a little bit better. All right. One of the other things that he, you know, we talked about him using his arms. One of the things he does that's kind of interesting is when he pulls so hard that his hands come around and they actually look like he's doing a stroke in the middle of it. Okay. So he takes the pull and you watch his arms. Oh, that was an old one. That's when he was younger. But his arms actually swing around now. And it almost looks like he's doing a stroke. That was before he was pulling there. I'm not sure that was even him. All right. So we want to really make sure we're using those arms, really make sure we're giving a solid effort, really solid pull when we push off that wall. Because that hole, we want to just get through that one hole. There we go. That was more of a Caleb start. Hold on. His arms kind of do almost a butterfly pull because he pulls onto that block so hard, but he couples it with the start. He couples it with his hip drive and he couples it with his leg motion. Now, if you notice right now, this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy, if you look at them, they're all kind of forward over the top of the block. Okay. And if you look at Caleb and this guy over here, they're kind of rear loading. Okay. That's, you know, so the hips are a little bit farther back on the block. Two schools of thought. You can either be over the center of the block, so you're centered with your hips high, center of gravity a little bit closer to the front of the block. That'll get you off quicker, maybe a couple hundredths or so. Caleb's usually not the fastest guy off the block with reaction time, and part of it is because he does a backwards load, so he's leaning back a little bit, and that's why we say he uses his arms a lot. But the way he does it, he generates so much power, and it's not so drastic that he's this much farther behind anyone, that he gets away with it, and it works really, really well for him. So we can learn that these guys, if you watch these guys here, they're probably going to get off quick, but he's going to get off stronger. All right, and we want to get in through that nice little clean hole. So that's a difference in that you know, that's something that you can talk to your coach when you get forward. Do you want to be more forward? Do you want to lean back just a little bit and load those arms up a little bit? But that it works for him. Let's watch this real quick. Okay. The other guys here in the bottom, they got in a little bit quicker, but he got out a lot farther. Someone did a nice job of doing all these Caleb starts and putting them together for us. Okay, he gets in a clean hole, and he dolphins as good as anybody under the water. He's super streamlined, looks great. This is what I was waiting for. If you see those arms right there, you know, those arms are already moving. This guy isn't even moving here. Arms are bent. They're not out like a gunslinger, but they're already bent forward, pulling on that block nice and strong. And he gets off a little bit higher, but he's jumping hard. He likes this leg going up in the air. One of the reasons why he said he likes that is because it gets his angle in the water a little bit deeper. And when you have great dolphin kicks like that, you can go in a little deeper because those kicks are going to be really, really solid. But he's going to go through one single hole. Okay, see, he's not the first person to hit the water, but he's going through a nice clean hole. And then once he gets in there, he starts his dolphin kicks. His dolphin kicks are amazing, mostly because when he hits the water, his dolphin kick up is as strong as his dolphin kick down. A lot of people kick down. He kicks both ways. And he does something that the first person I saw do this was Michael Phelps. Watch his transition kicks, okay? When he dolphin kicks underwater, he doesn't switch to flutter kick until when? No, they're going to take it away, but maybe we'll get a clean one here. Dolphin kick, and he's still dolphin kicking all the way through. One of the first one we had back here. Oh, there he is, being strong. Just change videos. Just showing some of the strength work that he does to be ready to go. But he swims through that stroke. He swims with a powerful kick, and the kick does not stop dolphin kicking until he's on the surface. He dolphin kicks all the way up to the surface with his first stroke. If you ever get a chance to see that underwater. Let me see if there's one here. Okay, this is the shot I was hoping for. Big monster kicks, both ways. Still dolphin kicking, still dolphin. Now he takes the first stroke, and there's his flutter. Okay, so that's something that he does that's special, specific to him. And as I said, the first guy I ever saw a dolphin kick out of his breakout was Michael. Because if your kick is that strong, you can get away with it. So a couple things we want to remember about backstroke starts, or not backstrokes, or freestyle starts, is number one, try to keep those hips high, thumbs down, palms flat. Make sure that you are wrapping those toes. If you have a wedge, make sure you're on the ball of your foot. You don't want to be flat-footed on the wedge. You want the ball of foot down there, and we want to make sure that we're centered solid off the block. We want to make sure we use those arms as much as we use those legs to initiate the motion of the start. The head stays neutral. We don't need that head to pop around. We want to make sure when we pull that everything stays in line, nice neutral head when we're going forward. And then we want to go through a clean hole, and we want to make sure that we're dolphin kicking as strong as we can, get up to that surface and go into our transition. All right. Now we're going to talk about this backstroke starts. Okay. We're going to start off backstroke starts with first guy we're going to look at right now is this guy in lane 2. His name is Ryan Murphy. Okay. Ryan Murphy's, he's pretty good. He won a couple of backstroke events at the last Olympics. And here he was he's really good backstroker, but he's not known for his speed so much as he is his endurance, but he's got some decent speed. And we're going to let you watch through this whole race here, and then I'm going to point something out. This was one of the summer championship meets. And 18. So this is nationals in 2018. And watch lane 2.
Second fastest time in the world this year in the prelims. Boy, he was fourth. What a start by Ray Murphy. He was 0.48 on his reaction time. He's right there in front of you in lane number 2. What reaction time he had. If he wins this next start, I'm having trouble with connection. Please try again in a moment. 6, it's Ryan held up top. Let's see who got there. It's Murphy.
So we're going to go back to a start here. Or maybe they're going to analyze it here. I didn't even watch it because all I watched was the start part.
Murphy wins the 50 and sets an American record.
Okay, so he sets an American record in a 50 backstroke, and he's now. A couple things we want to talk about. In the ready position, everybody they have the advantage of having a wedge or the ledge on there. If we ever have the opportunity to use the ledge or the wedge, we want to make sure that we do take advantage of that. Okay. Secondly, when they pull up into their ready after they're taking your marks there, I want you to watch everybody. He kind of goes in the farthest everyone, but pretty much everyone is either straight or just a small little angle in their back. We're going to show you a girls event in a second. See the comparison. Now, when they push, the toes are on that edge. He gets off really, really quick. But I want everybody to notice something here right now. All right, hands go over the top. Okay, the feet are, you want your hips underneath your shoulders when you start to push. But if you watch the hands, they all go over the top. Okay. They're all coming up over the top. Now, this is the angle where they're pushing straight back against that wall. They're really giving a drive when the hands get over the head to start driving in there. Ideally, you want to do almost like a back dive into the pool, and you want to try and get in that same small hole that we did for a forward start. Okay? Now, if everybody knows this here, what's this stuff here? Anyone want to tell me what this stuff is here? This white stuff? Did anybody raise their hand or anything? That's white water, okay? And the reason there's white water there is their feet are dragging through the water, okay? Everybody's feet are dragging through the water. At the very last second, their feet pop up. You can see the feet popping up out of the water. So they're going through a pretty good hole, but they're dragging the feet through the water, okay? And as we know, that's not necessarily the cleanest way to get through the water. So we're going to look at something from the ISL leg. Here we have the finals of an ISL leg. If you're here for the backstroke turn a couple weeks ago, you saw this girl doing this, Mina Atherton. But here we have everybody's hips almost underneath their shoulders. Nobody is pulling in. When they say take your marks, she kind of goes in with her chest a little bit, but nobody is pulling their whole body into the block. And we have a lot of people that like to think they go into their block. Well, all you're really doing then is now you got to change direction and push back away from the block. So let's start nice and tall like these swimmers here. All right, everyone's got their feet out the ledge. Everyone's doing good. This one goes a little slower, so it's easier for me to stop in the right place. Okay, so she pulls into her ready position. Most everybody's got their rear ends out of the water. Hers is, the girl right here is, I'm pointing to a screen you can't see. And when the start goes, watch what happens. Okay, everybody's releasing from the thing. The hands are going up. Their head is going back. We got an 8-pound head or whatever it weighs, and that's going to help generate, momentum and force in the direction we want to go. They say, you can't move anywhere without your head, so your head's going to lead that motion into the start. Okay, everyone's still the same here. All right. Now we talked about the guys event. Let's look at these girls. What do you see? Everyone's got a good arch. Everyone's got feet in the water, except 2 people. They're out in lane 8, who is a little slow, and Atherton. She's completely out of the water. She's not dragging anything. She just jumps off the wall. All right. And then she goes in through a nice tiny little hole. If you look at the wider water up here, this girl's kind of crashing into the water. She's going through nice and clean. Let's watch that in its entirety here. Head goes back, arches up, feet are clean out the water. You know, that's a pretty amazing, amazing start. And there's not a lot of people that can do that, but we can all strive to do that. All right, and then she goes right into her dolphin kicks. And when you go in without that resistance, the immediate first start, it gets you through clean. You pop up in front of people. Okay. So there's some backstroke starts there. We're going to recap that a little bit here. Go back to this. Why the heck? Shoot, I didn't see you coming there. Sorry about that, Brandon. Does anybody have any questions?
Mike, you're like
Mike,
all
yeah,
muffled.
we couldn't hear you, Mike.
Emily Regula has a question.
Okay, Emily, go ahead. What part couldn't you hear?
Your hands, I think, are on the mic, Mike. We can't hear you when you talk right now.
Okay, I don't have any hands on any mics, nothing. So I don't know where my microphone is on this computer. Sorry, it's old. Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Rock on, Emily.
Emily?
Okay, so for the backstroke start, like, when I do it, I feel like it takes, like, a lot of, like, muscle and, like, not pressure, but just to get up. Is that, like, supposed to be, like, fluid and easy to get up on the start?
Are you second about the preparation when you go from taking your marks to that position, or what?
Yeah, to that position you go up.
Okay. Honestly, you know, and this is one of the things that I was, if I had to choose the stroke that I was most challenged with, it was backstroke. But I took it upon myself to teach myself how to do a pretty good backstroke, and that's probably the best part about my backstroke is even being a big old big guy, I can still clear the water pretty good on a backstroke start without a wedge. And a lot of that is I don't pull myself up. If you're pulling yourself up and out, you know, that's just putting stress on there. And depending on how your starter is, you're going to be there. If you watch those girls, and let me see if I can get in there. Oh my gosh, stop. If you look at, you know, if you remember this picture, if I can share this thing, don't do this to me. You know, they're kind of going up a little bit. This girl's pulling up a little higher than I would think. This girl's actually rear end is still on the water. Okay. So we don't need to pull ourselves all the way out. What we need to do is make sure that you are pushing, you know, that you're ready to go and you're driving those hips up and the head back. Okay. It's a motion over, the hips go up to the ceiling. But if you're pulling yourself up out of the water, especially without a wedge, that's difficult to do. And we don't need to put ourselves in a stress before we start to race. You might be pulling up a little too high without really seeing it. Does that make sense? Does anybody else have any questions? Anybody have any observations of some of those videos that you saw? Anyone?
Haley Volchek does, Mike. Haley had her hand up.
Okay, Haley.
Like everybody arches their back and
Right.
kicks their legs out of the water.
I'm sorry.
Everybody arches their back and kicks their legs out of the water.
Yes, that's because the arching of the back is how you get your feet up out of the water. Most people, like 99% of the people, are going to drag their feet a little bit off the wall because their feet might be a little bit deeper in the water, especially if they don't have a ledge. But the arching of the back helps get the motion. And some people actually do a little drill where they'll hold the ball over the front of the block, and you're going to visualize kicking the ball as the last part. And by kicking the ball, that's going to get your body in that nice straight position with your feet up out of the water. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.